It's not given.
There you go.
Oh, good
Okay,
job.
somebody hit the right button.
Thank
Barbara,
you,
this is-
whoever did that.
This is
Okay.
Lee, and for Lee Strickland, and I just hit record on my phone, and it just started recording. Why, I don't know, because I'm not a host.
Well, it's working, Lisa. Thank you.
You've got the
You're
power.
welcome.
Yeah, she's got the power, but she is from God's country, which is Fremont.
That's
Okay.
right.
Hopefully y'all can see my screen.
No,
See it?
no, now.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
There we go.
So just wanted to remind everybody about our Giving Tuesday. It's our cyber event. It's November the 29th. I've had some questions in the past. I've had a few questions this time. The contribution has to be made on the 29th. So I've had a couple of people in the past say, well, I always give every month. But again, this is like the 29th. And the premise kind of is that it's going to be an extra contribution beyond what you normally give. I have had some people that do give large gifts every year. They've chosen to do that on the 29th, and that's fabulous because they give a lot of money. But it really does need to be the 29th. And if you do it online, you can send me the receipt of that so I can give you credit and then of course give you the foundation points. Now it takes a while for me to go through that process because there are a lot of people who actually do participate in this Giving Tuesday. So it takes me a couple of weeks to kind of make sure I've got everybody covered. And we did get 2 Rotarians out of the Rotary Club of Goldsboro Three Eagles who donated their points this year so that we could make this all happen. So also, just a reminder, the gift is between $200 and $500. I had a couple of people last year that gave $100. I had to, reach out and say to get that credit, it actually has to be at the minimum 200, maximum 500. So again, when you make your contribution online, you get that receipt, you just forward that to me. Does anyone have any questions about Giving Tuesday?
I have a question about the receipt now. We have to mail that receipt to you to get these credits.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, if you go online and make your contribution, you will get something from Rotary and you just send that to me.
All right, does it have to be sent on the 29th, or can we send it the next day or whatever?
Well, the 29th, but now I will tell you this, I've had a couple of people who worked with their treasurer because they don't do their contributions online. So the treasurer handled that for me. So a couple of them came in like the day before, but I was notified that 29th. So yeah, I can make a little leeway for some of these because some people don't give online. They do it a different way. But yeah, maintain the 29th.
I don't mean whether the contribution has to be made on the 29th. I mean, do we have to forward the receipt to you on the 29th?
Oh, no, I have them coming in the whole next week.
All right, that answers that question.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, it takes me a couple of weeks to work through everything to make sure I've got everyone covered. I've gotten everyone's information, and then I'll do the paperwork to send that into Rotary.
Okay.
So,
Tracy, this is David Loop in Washington. Have you already sent this piece of narrative out to everybody?
yes, it
Okay.
went out, what was it, Barbara, 3 weeks ago?
It went out last week and it went out this week as well.
Okay. Who did it come from? So I can make sure I can.
Tracy, from me and
Okay.
Tracy.
Okay. Thank you.
It also has next year's
And
date on
again-
it and last year's date on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
2023 date on it.
And then down at the bottom, it says you have to you have to give it by the 21st, by November of 2021. So
Oh, no.
That's a sign of a woman that's too busy.
No, I mean, I remembered I changed the dates because it is the 29th.
It's 2023.
It should be
Oh.
2022.
Oh, never mind then.
And
That was
then-
my mistake.
in both places.
And then at the end of the paragraph, it's 21, should be 22.
See,
A year ahead.
A year behind, a year ahead.
yeah, I'm trying to get into 2023 to get through this wedding.
They did
Okay,
averages
so we
out
will
to
make those
22.
corrections and
I
then
will.
send it out. And
I
again,
will. Yes.
all of the documents that you will see tonight will be sent to all participants on this Zoom meeting, as well as all the club officers. And again, this will go back out to the clubs moving towards the 29th. So everybody will get the reminders. Okay, so now I need to go to more information for you. District grant information. Can everyone see that screen?
Yes.
Okay, so district grants, we have our due dates, and they are on what you see. February the 1st, you sign the MOU as well as the MOU addendum, and it's uploaded into DAC-DB onto the grants module. I will tell you that we have really pushed DAC-DB to make the MOU and the MOU addendum already kind of in the system. So all you have to do is have the signatures, they just click. That hasn't happened yet, but we're not giving up hope. Because I
Exactly.
believe, you know, having to print this out, sign it, scan it in, and then upload it, I think we should be, you know, past that. But we're working on it. But this year is probably going to be the same way. March 1st, your final reports are due for this year, and then April 1st, your new grant applications. Now, training dates. This has worked very well the last couple of years. We actually have Rochelle with DAC-DB, and she actually runs our training on how to do a lot of this information. So, January the 11th, it'll be new grant applications, which is basically that MOU and the MOU addendum, but it will give people an opportunity to kind of see that process a little bit. February the 1st, we're actually having a training on the final report. Now notice, we're trying to do it like a month ahead of time so that you can work out all the kinks and ask Jim Hardison and I what you've done wrong in terms of making sure that we get it right. And then we also have March 1st, which is the new grant applications. And again, those two last trainings are a month before whatever it is due. Rochelle does a fabulous job. It is a recorded session, and it's a really good opportunity for people to, if you know how to do DAC-DB, great. It's a refresher. If you don't, it's vital. I will tell you that I've asked all clubs that are eligible this year to give me the name of one person in your club that for the next few years will handle that DAC-DB grants module component, meaning they do not have to do the grant. They don't even have to be the foundation chair or the grant chair in your club, but they just need to be proficient with a computer and DAC-DB. The reason for that is because Jim and I spent a lot of time last year, and actually the year before, but last year was probably the worst, trying to walk through a lot of the glitches. And we just need one person that can handle the bulk of what we're asking to be done. Don't put someone new to your club, new to DAC-DB, in charge of uploading and getting all this information into DAC-DB. It's unfair to them, really. So about 3 or 4 clubs have sent me those names. If your club has not, please do so in the next few weeks. Jim and I want to be able to start having a conversation with those folks. And again, it doesn't have to be the person who's doing the grant, a designated person to handle computer aspects of it. I would greatly appreciate it. Another reminder, the governor's chain has agreed that this per capita giving is going to increase to $120. So this is the year that you would need to have $100 and $120 per capita to receive a grant in 25-26. So please make sure that your club, I know everyone has probably heard the information, but just make sure that everybody's aware as they give, whether it be your treasurer, who automatically bills people, make sure that that is an increase. We basically ask people to increase $5 if they do it quarterly. And the clubs that have questioned me, a lot of them have said the same thing. We understand things, prices of things go up. And we are also in line with the other districts now. Most of the other districts in our area has increased their per capita giving requirement for a district grant. That does not mean the RI has changed, the $100 per capita to be, a sustaining member and all of that. This is our local requirement. The district south of us, District 7730, the Wilmington area, they are at 125 a year. So just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. This is the year you need to make sure that you have a per capita of $120. Barbara sends out periodically a chart that shows where you are. And it's usually maybe a couple of days removed. So
Past the end of the month. Mhm.
yeah, so she might have missed a payment, but it was because it came in after she pulled the report. Those go out to club officers about every 2 months. She will send out one tomorrow to the club officers as well as to the participants on this Zoom meeting, so that you can kind of see where you are. It just allows you to kind of check things and just to make sure you're on track. Included in that is the membership numbers and other general information. But for the foundation, the per capita giving is extremely important. And again, I've got down there my email about the designated DAC-DB person. Yes,
Question.
yes.
Polio plus giving, is that part of the 120 or separate from 120?
That is separate. This is for the annual fund. But now what I have to, I pull out the polio, all the polio giving. So annual fund share. And also just to make sure that everybody knows, and most people do know, when people do give to the foundation, if you want part of those funds to come back to you in 3 years, make sure that they do annual fund share. It's very important. And also, just a reminder, and I'll remind you at the end of the year, your per capita number is based on your membership as of July 1. So in June, you need to kind of remove any of those members that you kind of carried, but probably are not going to come back or told you they're not going to come back, and you just maybe haven't had time to clear them out. Make sure all of that is cleared out by the end of June. Because
You will also get billed for those members if you don't get them out.
Exactly. So just make sure you clean your rolls. Any
Tracy, it would
questions?
just,
Yes.
I have a
this
question.
is, it would be, you're talking about getting things done by the end of the year, and it'd be really helpful if there are going to be changes made about what the current year is going to be required.
Right.
If you do that before the year starts, we make budgets in May and June, and then in July we get notices saying, hey, we've changed what we want from you. That's a challenge.
Yeah, I agree. And it was supposed to have actually happened prior to July 1. And when you're dealing with several people in the governor's chain, everybody thought they had told me that how they voted, and they didn't. But that's okay. We've got to wait for you to make up the difference. So, and I'll talk about that unless there's any other questions about this. And I will be sending out this training dates and due dates again and again and again.
All right, speaking of the training, where is this training going to be held? Is it going to be by Zoom or what?
Zoom.
All right.
It will be on Zoom. And basically Rochelle with DAC-DB, she takes over the screen and she walks us through it.
Mm.
And it
We
really,
will also send out a guide, an
yeah,
instruction booklet, small instruction booklet. So you'll have that to walk through and make notes on as
Yeah.
she's doing training as well.
it really is. It's worked out well. The problem that we've had, honestly, has not been the training. It has been that we have folks that are just uncomfortable using DAC-DB and that grants module. That's our biggest issue. It's computer proficiency. And I will be honest, I mean, I'm pretty proficient now, but I am not the one who does that in my club. I mean, it's Kyle Sailors. I mean, he does it. He's done it for years. That's perfect. Doesn't mean that Kyle is doing our grant. It simply means he's the one that handles all of the DAC-DB grants module for us. So I think if we can get a designated person will be willing to do it every, for 2 to 3 years and then train somebody else, it will be very smooth. Okay. And now the Great Rotary Bake Off. I'm excited about this. I got the idea from my club. We did a bake sale, and it was to help raise money for polio. And Bethany, correct me if I'm wrong, we raised like $600, correct? And we sold to each other. I mean, basically. So it got me to thinking how excited people were.
$700, Tracy.
$700.
And we also, we did sell to each other, but we did post it on our social media page and listed all of the items that we were selling. And that's what got more people that were not members over to where we meet that given club day. And that's where they picked up and paid for their baked goods.
It really worked out fabulously. So the foundation team, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we decided to try this. And it's going to be district wide, but it's local to your club. And I'm going to be sending out more details as we get closer. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information, but pretty much from February the 1st through April 30th, you will be able to have a bake sale. You can do an auction, a bake sale auction. You can go to a spring event in your community and sell baked goods. Like Bethany said, put it on your social media and sell baked goods. The money raised would go to the foundation. And it's easy to do. And I will tell you, there were a lot of people in our club that were thrilled that they got to show off their dessert. It really did. I mean, I was really surprised actually that so many people were so excited and swapping recipes. In fact, I've got to get that apple butt cake recipe because that was fabulous. But anyway, it's a way for you to raise some extra funds and have a good time. I think Barbara said that the Mount Olive Club might actually end up auctioning off the items. However you choose to do it, you can have multiple bake sales. But what we're going to do is we're going to give out 1,000 Paul Harris Fellow points to the small club that raises the most money, 1,000 Paul Harris Fellow points for the medium-sized club, and then the large club. So we're giving out a total of 3,000 Paul Harris Fellow points for the club that wins to give a Paul Harris Fellow to someone in their club, a new member, or someone in their community. And again, this is an easy way to raise those extra funds if you are concerned about, well, we already had our budget set. Now we've got to kind of figure this out. So again, more information will be coming out. You are going to get this tomorrow. And again, more details. I'll talk about it at the mid-year assemblies. I mean, so I won't try to, like ad nauseum send this out, but you are going to see this more frequently. And I will also eventually have it posted on our district Facebook site, but I don't want to do it now because February the 1st, even though it's kind of a far way off, it's not that far, but we don't want to, we've got to pace ourselves. So I hope that every club will participate. Like I said, we had a good time. I thought it was great. I mean, I really did. I thought it was a fabulous idea and I stole it, which is okay in Rotary. So, questions about the Great Rotary Bake Off? And please tell me y'all are excited about that.
I'm excited.
Tracy, is there?
Tracy said she had more men baking than she did women.
I tell you, there was a lot of men. Walter Krentz, I'm telling you, he is like the dessert king. But yeah, I mean, it was just so much fun. And I think, we got to remember, yes, we want to give to the foundation, but we want to have fun doing it too. So somebody else had a question?
Yeah, is there any interest in creating a cookbook out of this?
That's a possibility.
That's
and we
a
can
good
sell it.
idea.
Mhm.
That's a great
No.
idea.
If there's, what do we have, about 35, 38 clubs in the district?
35.
Yeah, if every club were to put forward a prize recipe,
Mhm.
you could put together and it'd be the Rotary Cookbook for
Yeah.
seven
That's a
seven.
great
In
idea.
this case, dessert cookbook.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
but yeah, I mean, we really had a good time. And, you know, hats off to Bethany. Not only has she gotten 15 new members in, but came up with a great idea that, like I said, I stole. So any other questions? And remember, all of these documents will be sent out to all the participants tonight. Please make sure if you came in late that you put your name and your club in the chat box. It will also go out to the club officers. So if one of your club officers or president's not here, please have a conversation about what we've talked about. Is there anything else? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And now I'm not going to do a long introduction to our speaker tonight because I want to give as much time as I possibly can to Walter. And I know that you probably have some questions. I do want to point out, and Brenda will love this, Walter is now a member, an E-Club member. And for those of you new to the district, Brenda was one that really first started talking about E-Clubs. He's an E-Club member of the Rotary Club of Myrtle Beach. He has been awarded the Rotary's Vocational Service Leadership Award, as well as Rotary Foundation Citation for Meritorious Service. He has many more awards than that. He has touched the lives of well over 300,000 people in Africa with his clean water initiatives. I mean, he's just a phenomenal person. And he also is the one that Governor Octavius is working with on his global grant, which if you haven't contributed to the global grant, please do so by December, because we want to get that money into Walter so they can move forward. So I will now turn it over to Rotarian Walter Hughes.
Well, good evening. And I have shared my presentation. And if you will set your icon so it says my face, I am going to go through district grants and global grants. And the global grant side will be more of a personal story. So if you all can see this title slide, let's get going.
I can see it.
Okay, so why the Rotary Foundation? It's four-star rating in Charity Navigator, and Rotarians are the reason why it's so successful. And in 2021, we raised $441 million for the Rotary Foundation, and 25 million of that was COVID-19 relief. It's our foundation. And so the Rotary Foundation grants have two components mainly. It's district grants and global grants. I've added kind of a one-of-a-kind grant, which we did COVID-19, we've done hurricane relief and Ukraine grants, but that's a separate animal that comes one of a kind. And so let's go through district grants. And if you have a question, let me know. But otherwise, if you can put your Zoom on mute, it will help. So the district grants, most district grants are impacting the community. There'll be parks, homeless shelters, trails, really whatever we can think of that can make a difference in our communities. And then we love our schools. So many Rotarians are passionate about education and literacy. Others are focused on health in the community, food and agriculture. And most times a district grant is local. Once in a while, a district grant will be global. And that's a little bit confusing, but you can practice or prototype a global grant as a district grant. And so the funding, it's just like Tracy was talking about, is the annual fund share from 3 years ago. And 25% of what the club gives goes to the district grant funding. And it must exceed $120 per person in the Rotary Club as annual fund share. And so your budget for a district grant is your club money, your district match, and any donated items and services and funds that you can come up with. And many clubs will do a partnership with another charity to extend the reach. And so New Bern, I'm using you as the example tonight. In 2019, 2020, New Bern gave $14,133 to the Rotary Foundation. And they had 70 members in the club that year. So dividing 14,000 by 70, we get $202 is the giving per member. And then the annual fund share, they gave $12,933 of that total. And so you take 25% of that 12,000 number and you get to $3,445. And that will be the district match. If New Bern was one of the top 3 clubs in the district, then the total would be $4,445 and plus $3,000. And so your budget for a district grant would be your club contribution plus your district matching funds. And if you have any other donated services, like $610 came from donations from businesses, then the total budget for that grant would be $7,500. So that's how you put together a district grant and its budget. And the way we apply is on the grant screen at DAC-DB, we need a project title, a short description of the project, a budget, and high-level expenses and authorizations. And the step-by-step instructions were mentioned briefly before. It's at rotary7720.org. And the 2 key places to learn about these projects is club resources and you select district grants. The other is the documents tab on the main district website. And you look for documents. And underneath that, you'll see grant resources. And the 3 key documents in there is allocation by club based on annual fund, best practices, and the grants module step-by-step instructions. And we recommend that you print that out and give it to whoever's inputting the information into DAC-DB, because it's step-by-step, easy to understand instructions with pictures of each screen. So take advantage of it. It's right on the webpage under documents. And the grant deadlines, Tracy's already covered, is February 1st and March 1st. So you had to get the final report in to be able to apply for the next grant. And it usually takes about 3 or 4 months for the Rotary Foundation to approve the application. So it's ready in the next Rotary year. And the best practices on district grants is the project visible in the community? And can you put a Rotary sign at the project so you get some visibility for the club? Will it make a long-term impact? And are you partnering to expand the impacts? Are you working with the school? Are you working with the county? Are you working with businesses or other charities to grow your project beyond that $7,500 that I showed as the initial budget? And is it an original project instead of just being a repurposed same old project that you've done year in and year out? And so the Rotary guidelines for a district grant is you can't pay salaries or a charity budget, and the spending must start after the grant's approved. And so it can't benefit me and it can't benefit you, and it must be certified with the club. So before I go on to global grants, do you have any questions about district grants? Okay. And we'll have some time at the end.
Is there really a bias against successful projects that have been done in the past?
Well, the goal, Rick, is that if it's a successful project, it's part of your normal budget for your club. And so the main goal for district grants is to be innovative and something that you're starting for the first time. Now, if it's a good project, that's something that the grants committee would evaluate. And so there's been many cases, Rick, where the grant has supported a previous project. Okay, so
yeah, I mean, ours has been, we've established a tradition of doing the same thing each year, and it's worked. It's been very successful, and it's the first I've ever heard that there was any prejudice against or bias against successful projects that were being repeated.
Some districts do that, but we do not. We allow you,
Okay.
if you want to continue the same project and it works in your community, we don't have a problem with it. But Walter is correct. Some districts don't like that, but we're fine.
Yeah. It's just a suggestion to innovate. But some clubs really love the dictionary project for as an example. And year in and year out, they'll give dictionaries in the elementary school. So, and for my club, we love playground. So we built playground after playground. Okay. Hope
You
that
mentioned,
helps.
Rotary7720.org. What information can we get from that?
Okay, let me go back. Okay, so there's two major tabs on the website: club resources and documents.
And that's Rotary, that's 7720.org website.
Yeah,
Right.
Rotary7720.org. Right.
Okay.
And so when you go under those two tabs, you'll see documents, and then under the grant resources tab under documents are these three files that you can download and read.
Okay.
And then under club resources, that's where you'll apply to the district grants. Okay.
No.
And so one of the allocation is showing you the contributions from 3 years ago and how much money you can expect to apply for a district grant. And Tracy, you can correct me if anything is off.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope to have all of that information to y'all sometime in January. I do have to wait for Rotary to show exactly what it's going to be, because there's been not mixing of funds, but some disaster money has been going in. And it just muddies the water a little bit. So I will feel better if I actually see the exact figure that RI says we have. But you should get that, you'll get that before pets. I guarantee you that it'll be before pets, and it will be in your pets book as well.
Okay. For Global Grants, there's 7 areas of focus. We added a new one last year, which is the environment. And the original 6 areas is education and literacy, maternal child health, peace and conflict resolution, disease prevention, water sanitation, hygiene, economic development, and then now the environment. And so the biggest area of focus for funding global grants is disease prevention. And in 2020, that was $59 million. And way below that is clean water, sanitation, hygiene at 15.3 million. And then economic development's 3rd, mothers and babies is 4th, education and literacy is 5th, and then peace is 2.7 million. But my claim is all the other areas of focus helps to secure peace. And so there's exceptions to the area of focus if we're doing COVID-19 or disaster relief, because disaster relief and COVID kind of falls into fighting disease, but hurricane relief doesn't really fit into a current area of focus. And so a global grant is a partnership between US clubs, the International Club, and the Rotary Foundation. And that application is at grants.rotary.org, and it must fit into one of those 7 areas of focus. The minimum is $30,000, but you can have a $100,000 or $200,000 grant. And the key thing is you need to be a good steward of the Rotary Foundation money and have metrics. It starts off by creating a needs assessment. I call that really a strength assessment, where the needs and the strengths of a community are together. And you know where the resources are within that community. And for me, I started off with wanting to drill 1 well in Africa, and that turned into a long-term project. So I've been working on global grants since 2006. When I joined Rotary, I didn't really understand the Rotary Foundation part of it. It was more to spend time with Dad at a Rotary breakfast. But since then, we've impacted 904,000 lives. And we've raised over $5 million since that time, with 321 Rotary clubs in 32 US states and 5 Canadian provinces, and 78 Rotary districts in 8 countries. And there's many roles for a global grant. The first one's a project leader and a liaison with the Rotarians in Africa or wherever the project is located. And then writing parts of the grant, fundraising, sending out thank you notes, PR, and creating a budget and having a treasurer to make the payments as the grant is going out the door. And when you're doing a global grant, it's really important to write a one-page summary. And this is the first paragraph of the one-page summary for the project. That's for 7720. And what it does, it talks about the who, what, when, and where of a project and the budget, and is saying that we're going to impact 41,000 lives. And the goal of the grant is $200,000. And so, and then helping with fundraising, many people can get involved with a global grant, just telling the story, sending the one page to club presidents, giving presentations on the project, scheduling Zoom meetings, spreading the word, those kind of things. And what I've learned with a district grant and a global grant, you need to share the stories. And you tell the story that people are thirsty in the world and that we can help. And it's important to help our community, but it's also important to join as Rotarians across the world to make a difference in other people's hometowns that are different from our own. And so some of those stories for me is the 3 precious moments and water is a basic need. And telling videos are really useful for telling the story, and then getting photos that touch the heart. These photographs show how dirty water can be to give a baby a bath or to prepare a meal. And we don't think about that here, but it's a key problem. And when I started, I met the Rotarians in Tamale in northern Ghana, and they took me to Savalugu, which was the worst place in the world for guinea worm disease. And they said, we have this disease that's really impacting our hometowns. Can we work on this? And I first said, my goal is only one well. But when you look and see kids suffering with this parasite, it's a 3-foot-long parasite that grows in your body for a year. And when it comes out, it feels like a hot iron's been stuck to your skin. And so I couldn't get the pictures out of my head. And so I kept telling the story. And so these 2 pictures tell a different story. I saw this little girl with a parasite, and this man was pulling an inch out of the parasite out of her foot that day. And she was so brave, and she didn't want to cry in front of strangers. And I was just amazed. I said, we've got to help these kids. And the other picture on the left is a woman. She was in the back of the crowd. I was in the front, but I had a female team member, and the female team member heard her say, you got to taste this water. It is so sweet. I have never tasted water this sweet before. And it was right as we were dedicating a brand new well in her community. And so grant 2238088 is the district governor's project. And the goal is 46 wells and 506 microflush toilets with a budget of $200,000. We want to submit this grant in January. And it's saving lives, transforming people. And it's in the central part of Ghana in West Africa. And you can pledge toward this project. And Tracy can give you all the details. We're doing microcredit loans in this project. And so the loans will fund 34 new wells and 446 toilets and 58 farm and small business loans, mainly targeting women, and 4 small town water systems. So the loan budget is $137,000 of the total. And so we go through 2 loan cycles. So $137,000 is loaned out twice. And so that means that part of the grant has almost a little bit over $250,000 impact. And then the money keeps working after the grant is closed. And we have a 5-year partnership with Stegadore Microfinance. And so the loans help shopkeepers, help a beauty shop, helps farmers, helps to give a home improvement loan for a toilet, or helps to give a water loan for a community to pay for a new well. And they even take out loans to tile the water system after the initial loan is paid off. And microflush toilets, there's no smell, no flies, and no mosquitoes. It makes compost, and it doesn't pollute the land or the water. And the cost for a home is about $250. And the user interface, as the inventor calls it, is a seat fixture, either porcelain or concrete, or a squat fixture, which is the norm for schools in Africa. And how did our project succeed? We're building partnerships, and we keep our promises, and we build trust by our donors, and we team with other nonprofits. So with the Guinea Worm, we worked with President Jimmy Carter and his foundation and other charities with the same focus. And so we take the weakness of Rotary and match it with the strength of other organizations. And then we just have strategic partnerships to make it all happen. Then we've also added something new. It's a 6-step empowerment model, and asking the community, what is your dream and what is your vision for your community? And we want local leadership. We want local labor, which used to mean just digging a ditch. Now we say we want your planning and organizing skills. And then we'll provide training, whatever it is, to achieve your dream, and local funding. We will match your money, but the first dollar doesn't come from North Carolina, it comes from your community. And then if we are able to do microcredit loans, then we extend the local funding even more, and then Rotary fills the funding gap. So this is a transforming way that we're not really providing water and sanitation or disease prevention or building schools. What we're doing is teaching leaders how to transform their community to provide wells, schools, and disease prevention. And a lot of times we spend time under trees talking about dreams. And so that's where the strength assessment, where we learn their needs and their strengths, is developed. And it takes time to listen to the community and what they truly need. And so we've got some time left for questions. And so I thank you for taking the time tonight, and I'll stop sharing and open it up for questions. And Tracy, if you have any questions in the text, let us know. John?
Must a global grant always be overseas? Or can it be here?
Yes, we actually had one in District 7720.
Yeah.
That was the Currituck Free Dental Clinic. Unfortunately, it was not sustained, but it went on, what, Brenda, 5 years? Something like
Joan,
that. So yes, we've actually received one.
It's called a reverse global grant. And yes, now we have to have other partners internationally. Okay.
How do you get
that
them?
grant can, so over half the funding comes from outside the US. And then we can have a global grant in North Carolina.
Brenda, can you speak to how that occurred? You're muted. You're muted. Can't.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
You mean the dental clinic?
Yes.
Yes.
How do we get international partners for that?
Right. Well, generally your governor, when they go to International Assembly, they really make a lot of contacts, and that comes through your governor, either a current governor or contacts. If I need contacts now, if Walter needed something, I have contacts that I work with a lot in Zambia, so I could come up with contacts there for some project. Most of the time, your governor is really hit with a lot of contacts at the International Assembly, and he or she will come home with a list of people who can partner. And if you've got regional leaders, people like Rocky or myself that go to, or Lee that go to a lot of different zone and other larger activities, then people just come up to you and ask, would you talk to me about partnering on an international grant, a global grant? When I went to COL, Council on Legislation, I bet 10, 11, 12 people came up to me and said, I'm from this country, this country, this country. Can I give you my card? And let's talk about partnering on a global grant.
Okay.
So it really is your governor or a past governor.
Yeah. Well, it also can be just a grants team, John, that starts like the 38088 grant. We have contributions from the Netherlands, the UK, and Australia for that global grant. And so as you build partnerships around the world, a lot of times what happens is Japan or Taiwan has an interest in sanitation.
Right.
So depending upon kind of the project, sometimes what happens is we pledge to do a project in Australia, and then the Australians pledge to do a project back with us.
Mhm.
So it's building those contacts, and then some of it's cold calling, just asking for help. And it's amazing explaining the need. Like in West Virginia, there's still people who do not have running water or sanitation. And so some of the stuff we just don't realize we have that need here in America.
I always want to do a grant coming into Eastern North Carolina to work on diabetes and weight control. And I know Bryson, years ago, we talked about this, but they're just, and there are people all over the world who would partner with us in that. So a couple of years ago, I went to Cambodia. And when I did, all those governors, just people in Cambodia came up and offered their card and said, we'd like to partner with you on a grant if you have any interest. So that means that we partner with them, and then they partner with us to bring it back.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Walter?
Yes.
This is Tom Franklin. We met some time ago. I was at the Dallas Club for 29 years. And this is when Bill Slicker and our group, I think, met with you. And
right
over the years, I think we started in 2005, 2006 with the Ghana projects. And I think we've done probably 50 or 75 wells by now. But we partner.
In fact, Dallas has 25,000 pledged to this grant. And
well, luckily, Dallas is a large club. I mean, when I moved there 30 years ago, it was 400 members. Now it's down to like 210. And then I moved to Williamston now, and we've got 32. So it's sort of like night and day coming from Dallas to here. But, I did most of the grant writing and most of the final reports for all those global grants. And it's really, once you get the process down, it's really not that difficult. You just have to have a team of people who follow through and make sure you do your needs assessment, and you do your projects. Luckily, we had two Ghana folks in our club, a dentist and a hydraulic engineer. So the hydraulic engineer got us started on the water wells back in 2004, 2005. And then the dental, and then we combined our water well projects with our dental projects. And we had two dentists that go over, and they would spend a week and see 3,000 kids in a week. It's just unbelievable stuff, and makes for great stories to come back home and easy to raise money for.
Right. Well, Tom, I can use help now if you have time.
Well, I've retired for the third time, so I'm retired now. But I'm willing to help wherever I can.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions? The other vision that I have is we need to train the next generation of leaders here in the US and to inspire them to change lives. And when I started, I had no idea we could have this kind of impact. So if you see people in your clubs that want to change lives, Tracy and I and the other team, we want to motivate and mentor those leaders. So because there were people who trained us, right, Tracy?
Exactly.
And so now it's our turn to return the favor. So people like Bethany probably has a great future in foundation and grants too. So whoever they are, let us know. And we want to inspire, encourage, and lift up those leaders.
Any other questions? I think you can tell that Walter's passionate, and it's just thrilling that Governor Octavius has chosen this as his governor's project. I mean, you saw the photos. I mean, and Walter didn't say this, but you know, more children under the age of 5 die from mortar-borne diseases and illness than anything else.
Right.
We really do make an impact. So I do hope that all clubs will participate in this global grant, and don't hesitate to reach out to me if you've got another idea for global grant.
And one of our previous projects, we did a neonatal ICU in Tomley. And that ICU reduced deaths of mothers and babies by 90%. And so Rotary really changes lives. And the secret sauce is us working with the Rotarians in their hometowns, wherever it may be. And it makes a difference. Darren?
It's 99% dust free and delivers right to my door.
Okay.
Don't know what I'm doing.
Oh.
Hey, Mr. Dorn.
We're having fun punching buttons.
It's okay, Darren. It's good to have you tonight.
Okay. If there are no other questions, just a reminder that, Mr. Dorn, can you mute your computer?
Or whoever is the owner can, okay, good.
Yeah, okay. Just want to thank all of y'all for being here. Again, Barbara will send out the 3 documents that I shared. Tomorrow, they will go to also your club officers. Some great conversations. I appreciate your time. Jim and I, we are really looking forward to this district grant cycle, and want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that it works very efficiently. So please do not forget to send me the name of the person in your club that will be the DAC-DB guru for your grant. And again, we would really love to have any contribution that you're going to make to Governor Octavius's project by the end of December, possibly. Anyway, anything else for the good of the group?
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you all, and have a great night.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you, Brenda.
Good to see you, Walter.
What